Hello, everyone, and thank you for joining us today to talk about Endian's new line of dedicated hotspot products. My name is Brandon Bain, and I'm the Director of Business Development for Endian Americas. If you have any questions during the webinar, please feel free to type them in the chat feature at the end of the presentation. I'll try to get to as many as I can. Obviously, if it's a question that's more specific to your particular deployment, we'll go ahead and get in touch with you after the webinar. Also, I'll be providing my specific contact information for you, so if you have any questions that you want to direct to me later on, feel free to reach out to me. And without further ado, let's go ahead and begin. I'd like to start off by discussing the origins of the product line. For years, our single most popular request has been spin off the hotspot to its own dedicated series of products, and we're absolutely thrilled to finally give the people what they want. And it's not just about Endian giving our clients what they want, it's really more about you giving your clients what they want. And we believe that the satisfaction of your customers begins with the hotspot. So logging onto the network is often one of the first things we see clients do, so it's important to use that as an opportunity to create a strong first impression. And just as with all great products, we first started off by really trying to understand our clients' problems. So what are they? Well, here are a few. How do we brand our company more effectively? How can we more actively engage with our clients? And of course, how can we do this in a way that's secure for both our business and the customer? With the explosion of online shopping over the last, several years, businesses have become increasingly more focused on delivering an enhanced customer experience. And the feedback we've received is our clients want to engage more deeply with their customers and foster better relationships with them, not just perform a transaction. So many of them rely on repeat and referral business, and they need to provide more than just a competitive price today. They need to develop an emotional connection with them. And it turns out that one of the most impactful and cost-effective services that you can provide is a quality wireless guest internet access. The Endian Hotspot family of products gives businesses all the tools they need to completely roll that autonomous captive portal solution using any wireless router. So for years and years, hotspot products were essentially just a cost item for businesses. They required more bandwidth, more regulations they had to abide by, and of course, more equipment to buy and set up and manage. We decided to rethink that model and develop a product that's not only justifies its existence on the customer service side, but used as an actual revenue generation tool. The benefits of the captive portal are about connecting with customers on when they come on premise as well as post visit, which of course helps with mind share and branding, but also capture in-store revenue. In addition to the captive portal, Endian provides network security features that help businesses isolate and secure the wireless network from everything else as well. And this is important because it helps maintain continuity in the business. It helps abide by regulatory compliance requirements, and is, of course, it's in line with security's best practices. But it could be argued that the most important protection Endian Hotspot provides is for the end user. And being able to provide a secured access for customers helps them confidently utilize the hotspot without fear of internet threats, data loss, and other potential exposures that they might get if they join an unprotected wireless network. It's unfortunately not a priority for all hotspot products on the market. That is security. But because Endian develops unified threat management solutions for over a decade now, security is always at the top of our list. And I'd like to talk a little bit about how businesses can customize the customer experience. Endian provides several login types, and depending on the type of business, one or more of these might be attractive than the other. The first two initial options are the Smart Connect and the Social Login. Smart Connect allows businesses to set up a fully automated login process, complete with self-registration, payment collection, and password recovery. It's attractive for businesses that want to minimize any internet access delays for the client, or if they want to minimize the workloads of their employees. It's also attractive for businesses that want the option to charge for internet access. Social login is the most simple authentication model that we offer to the end user. And by using the client's Facebook or Google credentials, a user can log in and be online extremely efficiently. Now, once they've logged in to the hotspot, tickets can be set up that allow specific access types. For example, bandwidth-based tickets give businesses the chance to provide multiple ticket options based on the speed they want the user to have available. For example, one class of user might be a 1 megabit download while another has 5. And it's ideal for companies that want to create premium tickets for preferred clients and differentiate them from the general user. You might see this in expo centers, hotels, and public venues. Now, the cyclic ticket option allows tickets to be issued based on time that might reoccur. So you may want to provide a guest with 1 hour of browsing per day, for example, or you might want to limit access to total bandwidth consumed. So when 1 gig of traffic is downloaded, then access expires, for example. And then a third option is to simply require no authentication, which is the fastest way to get someone online, but no user information is collected in this model. It's great for companies that want to have their clients jump on with as minimal hurdles as possible to maximize the number of hotspot users that jump on, but they still want them to agree to a terms of use policy. Now let's talk a little bit about the login types in a bit more detail. And here's the Smart Connect option. Now, if this is enabled, a user will first open a browser window and they'll be presented with a form that they'll fill out. The user will then select a ticket they want to use. Like we discussed on the previous slide, the business can have multiple ticket options like free or paid or time-based or bandwidth-based, etc. And if the ticket is a paid option, the user can complete that transaction with either a credit card or a PayPal account. And once that transaction is completed, they'll receive the login password via SMS or email. Now, the SMS option is the only add-on that we offer. It's a separate bundle, and that can be purchased from us. But if the email option is preferred, the customer is basically given temporary access to their email client to authenticate. Now, we discussed briefly about bandwidth tickets before, which allows businesses to sort of differentiate the user groups like paid and free users. This is a new feature for Endian Hotspot, so I'd like to talk a little bit about how it works. So in this case, for example, you see on the right-hand side that multiple tiers of ticket options are created: bronze, silver, and gold. And each of those have corresponding speed allotments. And with just like in Smart Connect, a user opens a browser window and they fill out the registration form. They're presented with the multiple ticket options based on speed. Here you can see the bronze is 100 KB, silver 250, and gold 1 megabit. And again, if this requires payment, then PayPal or credit card can be accepted. And once that transaction is processed, then credentials are handed out the same way via SMS or emailed. Now, for companies that want users to authenticate and collect the customer email address for future correspondence, but also provide the easiest way to get online, then social login is a great option. Endian can leverage the social login feature of Facebook and Google to provide that. And here's a little bit how it works. So first, a global ticket rate is assigned for all social login. So that can be either time-based or bandwidth-based, etc. And when a user opens a browser window, then they're presented with the option to log in using their Facebook or Google Plus account information. And upon successful login, then they're immediately redirected to the splash page. And really that's it. So there's only one step for the user. And it's a great option for businesses looking to maximize the number of hotspot traffic results. A brief recap of the cyclic ticket option. Again, this is for those that want to provide automatic recurring tickets on a set schedule, like 1 hour per day or 30 hours per month or whatever. You can also base this on consumption. So for example, once a user consumes 10 gigs of traffic, then access expires for that month. And last but not least, the no authentication model. And I actually refer to this model as the disclaimer mode only model. In essence, you provide a one-click access to the internet by eliminating any login and registration and authentication. And you can require the user to accept your customizable terms of use agreement or terms of service agreement for allowable use of the internet. It comes with a default terms of use agreement, but you can customize that. Now, in this model, just as with all models, you can define a splash page which the user lands on as well. The smart login is a feature we provide that allows returning customers to automatically be logged back into the hotspot without having to undergo the full registration and authentication process. And we find it's a great feature for businesses that are expecting a high repeat customer base. And they want to advertise to the client that, hey, the reason we collect your information in the first place is so that you can log back on really quickly. Hotspot feature master satellite. Now, for businesses that want to have multiple locations or they like to set up multiple hotspot venues, then the Endian master satellite configuration is a great tool. Using a single Endian device, businesses can manage all of their hotspot satellites from a central interface, from the user database to the portal configuration and authentication. So all individual hotspots can, of course, be managed from their own individual device, but this is a great tool for reducing the time and cost of traveling to remote locations just to make adjustments. The feature is included for free, and it's good for any number of satellite locations. So use cases. We've identified 5 industries that really benefit from a quality hotspot solution. Listed here, hospitality, retail, education, public and government. And public, we're talking about venues, large venues, and maritime. Now, we realize there are many more, but these particular 5 have unique configuration requirements that sort of showcase the full options for all the different verticals as well. So, for example, education typically requires the ability to protect its students from inappropriate content, while public venues that have potentially tens of thousands of users might need more bandwidth management requirements. So what we like to do is call those out and talk about them specifically. We'll talk about a couple here. And here's hospitality. Typically, we see 3 use cases: the lounge and reception area, the guest room, and the restaurant and bar. The Endian Hotspot really stands out in the hospitality realm with its ability for service desk employees to generate tickets or even eliminate that workload with self-registration. Endian's also ideal from a security standpoint for hospitality because you can create a separate network to protect both the business side and the guest side. And we've also seen hospitality utilize the hotspot to market and brand their business. So on that, not only can promotions and events be displayed when the user logs in, but also the first page can be defined, which we call a splash page. Now, let's say that a hotel makes the splash page their home web page. Each user that logs onto that hotspot thereby increases the traffic of the website, which of course increases Google page ranks. So a better SEO means better downstream revenue. Then there's lots of ways to make money from a hotspot. Now, 3 common deployment scenarios for hotels are typically to have a reception employee generate a ticket, or perhaps you want to give this authority to a concierge so that guests can be introduced to them for other services they provide, or just want to tightly manage the guest access. That's why a ticket generated option might be interesting. A second, more common setup is allowing the user to self-register, as we discussed with Smart Connect option. Again, you can allow multiple ticket types for either of these, whether it's paid or free, bandwidth-based, etc. And then a third option for hotels is when they offer conference space to allow business users to bypass the login information with that disclaimer mode only mode, and they can get right into work. Retail, we've seen a couple of configuration requirements that might be different from most industries because of the element of the transaction. And typical use cases are in-store Wi-Fi, secure but private, secure and private, but also open public Wi-Fi, as well as multiple locations. Endian shines here because you can build large customer list with a simple login option that can be used for ongoing correspondence. You can create both separate and secure Wi-Fi hotspots for compliance, which we often see for PCI regulations here as an example. You can use Endian's advertising space, which is presented to the user immediately upon logging in. And that can be used for offering in-store promotions or store discounts. You can even sell this space to a local non-competing business if you wanted to generate money creatively, but several options exist. And in retail, this is how we typically see things deployed. First, they'll advertise the free Wi-Fi signage in a prominent place, which will help maximize the traffic. Then they often set up in-store buying incentives with the advertising space, which would help customers really log in and also separate that Wi-Fi into two segments, which helps the operation of the business and protection. And that would be protection of the point of sale terminals or employee access, so on and so forth. Great. So now that we've discussed some of the capabilities of how specific industries might implement a hotspot, what we'd like to do is talk about the products themselves. And as you can see here, we offer two options, the hardware and the virtual. The hardware comes preloaded with the software, and the virtual appliances, of course, are for those that have virtual environments, typically VMware, Xen, and KVM. Now, there are also three product sizes to choose from with the hardware, the 150, the 500, and the 1500. And we'll talk a little bit about what that means on the next slide here. But first, let's talk about the virtual. With the virtual product, you simply purchase the user bundle that would capacitate the max number of hotspot users that would log in concurrently. And packages range from 150 to 500 to 1500, easy enough. And before you ask, we'll answer the question, well, what happens if I go over the percentage limit or the package limit? And the short answer is, well, you can't, because the bundle limits the device to the number of connections. So if you purchase the 150 user package and user number 151 tries to log on, he or she won't be able to until someone else logs off. So it is important to know what the traffic typically looks like. But the good news is you can always add a bigger license to the device if the traffic is higher than you anticipated. Now, with the hardware option, you have three types of appliances to choose from: the 150, the Endian Hotspot 500, and the Endian Hotspot 1500. Now, we use those numbers to describe the user capability of the hardware. So, for example, the 150 can handle about 150 users from a performance standpoint. Now, once you've selected the device, you then add a license. So, for example, if you purchase the Endian Hotspot 150 hardware, but only you can purchase a 50 user license. So this would allow you to lower your costs and scale to the network needs. Again, you can always upgrade that license to the number 150. Or if you buy the 500, you can purchase the up to a 500 user package. So what are the differences between the dedicated hotspot products and the hotspot module that you might be accustomed to with the UTM security gateway products? And most simply stated, it's cost. For clients that really wanted this feature, we were able to create a more attractive pricing structure because we were able to reduce the support complexity that exists with the UTM line of products because of its advanced security features. The hotspot works in the same way, but the limited companion services that it does have limited companion services, and we'll go into those in a bit more detail in the next slide. For example, we only offer standard maintenance, which is includes ticket support, break fix, and hardware warranty. We do offer the ability to have hot swap hardware warranty if an RMA replacement time is critical for the business. And the product is based on the new Endian OS platform, which is improved efficiency and performance over the previous generation products. Now, we're not going to spend too much time here on the specific differences, but the main point is that the hotspot is really a standalone solution and not a full-featured UTM. And as a result, there are services that might not be present in the hotspot line of products that if you should require them, you might consider upgrading to the UTM option. For example, the UTM offers SMTP, POP3, and FTP proxy, where the hotspot doesn't. The UTM offers IPS and high availability, which is hardware redundancy, but the hotspot doesn't as well. Now, there are services that are included, but they're limited, like the web proxy is only available for the Blue Zone, and the SSL VPN server is capped at a single instance and no authentication. Now, just a quick point on this, we call these out not to say that the Hotspot is an inferior product, but we really want to articulate that for many of our longtime users, what features to kind of be aware of. New web filtering feature, Safe Search. Now, we wanted to include this slide because this is a great tool for administrators that need to enforce the Safe Search option. Now, for those that don't know much about what Safe Search is, it's a feature that's built into most of the prominent web browsers, some of them listed here, that prevents users from being inadvertently exposed to inappropriate content when they do a web search. Typically, what happens is the user must turn this feature on their own browser themselves. But when you enable Endian Safe Search feature, administrators can force the safe search mode on when any of these search engines are used. And this prevents one more backdoor for improprieties from finding its way onto the network. And last but not least, the Hotspot Maintenance. Endian offers offers one maintenance type, and that's standard. You can choose, though, from 1 or a 3-year option. Now, we always recommend the 3-year because it's priced really aggressively. Typically, like buy 2 1-year licenses and get the 3rd year for free is how it's priced. Security updates, patches, bug fixes are all included with any software enhancement that we make along the way. Hardware warranty is extended with the maintenance, and hot replacement warranty can, of course, be purchased separately, as we discussed previously. And services will continue to work after expiration or lapse of the maintenance. So there isn't any vendor lock-in, but lapsed devices simply lose access to the maintenance services that we listed above. And that's it. So before we give out the promo code that we're offering, I'd like to take a quick look and see if there's any questions here that might be answered. It looks like most of them are specific, so we'll get to you individually. But again, thank you for the time. Here's the promo code for the discount. Again, my name is Brandon Bain. My email address is brandon@endian.com if you'd like to reach out to me directly. We appreciate you taking the time to look at this, and we look forward to working with you on your next Hotspot project. Have a great day.